Hello and welcome back to another episode of DataCube's free online training. We are continuing with Tableau for the next 3 episodes, and this is episode 29. Today we are talking about calculated fields in Tableau. So I've fired up the same Tableau workbook we worked on last week in episode 28, which has our 2019 happiness data and our old school grocery shop data, which we have been using for pretty much every episode of the last 29. So the first thing I want to speak about is calculated fields. So on your dimensions pane, there's a little drop down area. If you click on that, we have presented with a few options. Now, creative parameters we're going to speak about in, I think it's next week's episode. So this week's all about this first one, which is creating a calculated field. Now, a calculated field will, when you click it, will bring up this box, and this is kind of like a formula box. So if you traditionally work with Power BI, you'll know that from the formula tab at the top, formula bar at the top. Excel, again, something like formula bar. It's placed here to create new fields, or as calculated fields, as Tableau calls it, using formulas. Now, most of you will know some formulas, such as things like sum. So we could do something like on this, sum of score, as like a really basic formula. Or that hasn't worked, it gives you an error, which is really good. And that's just because, there we go, it's a column, so it needs to be in square brackets. Anyway, so that's just something that you'd all know, and that's a really simple formula. Now, the great thing in Tableau is this little arrow over here, which brings up this kind of what I call like a sense check logic box. So if we wanted to use sum, then we can either double click on that or search for it in this search pane, and we get all different types of sums that we can do. So for example, sum, the sum of all the values in an expression. So this is just sum of score, so it would just simply sum up all the scores. A bit like their example here of sum of profit. Alongside that, they have other sums, so running total sums, window sum. Now, you'll see in Tableau that there's hundreds of different formulas that you can use, or functions. Simple things like hands, buffers, cases, counts, can be. So I'm obviously not going to go through all of these, but today I'm just going to pick out a few key ones, and not even focus on the functions and the formulas themselves, but just why you do it and how it adds that extra, how you can add extra levels of details and extra value to your reporting. So the first way of displaying this is to create a calculated field. So I think we should do something like, okay, we've got overall rank for these countries. So if I switch that around and sort it, we can see Finland's number 1, Denmark 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think. All the way down to South Sudan, which has a rank of 156 out of our 156 countries. So just fit the height of this, and that's going to really make these skew up, but we're not interested at the moment. So a really simple type of formula is if I kind of wanted to segment these into groups in a really simple way. So I could create a calculated field for something like ranking of scores, and I could create something like if the sum of overall, or if overall rank is less than 50, then 1. Else if overall rank is less than 100, then 2. Else 3, end. And the cool thing in Tableau, straight away it tells you if that's valid or invalid. And as you saw before, when I put a sum but didn't call a column, I just wrote score, it told me what was wrong with it. And the other cool thing is if I type something like else, or else if, it tells me exactly how to write it and it gives you a cool example, so you can format it nicely. Same with end, same with if I started with that, and you could use case in this example, like case when, which is like a SQL statement. So ranking of scores, I've named it at the top, created a basic and badly formatted little formula here, and I press OK. And you see straight away I get a new column in, and you can tell that because it's got a little equals sign next to my hash. So in this case I want to drag it in there, and all this does is group these into 3 different categories. So if I drag that into colour, we can see how that's represented. So we've got a 1, 2 and a 3, and it's just sort of divided those up. And obviously I could use that as a field, like this, so you can see the 1s, 2s and 3s. Or I could just place them together like that, however we want to use it. And obviously I have colour by that. I could size the bars by that, so they'll get thicker or thinner. I could add that to labels, whatever it might be. That is just a basic but useful example of how we can create calculator fields just to add an extra level of information to our kind of data set. So the next example, something we've looked at quite a lot, is just looking at something like, in our grocery shop data, looking over time, something like our sales. And if I choose maybe an exact date on this, because we only got like 1 week's worth of data, we've looked at this and we've done things like, let's split that out by the different products. Now, this is quite interesting, but it's got that day level. What if we wanted to know, add some sort of calculation to this to give it a bit more value, because as grocery shop we want to know about income over time, not just split by each day. So you might want to do something like a running sum. So you could create a calculated field, running sales number, or volume is probably better. So you could do something like a running, if you search for it you can get, so it's running sum. Press the tab, by the way, it kind of finishes it off for you. It's like an autocomplete, and then all you need is the sales in here. And again, I just press tab. There we go. Missed out a little sum there. At least you know I don't practice these beforehand, but it helps just checking on the formulas. So we've got a running sum of volume. We can add that in, and now we've got both our sales per day, split by day, and also how that is as aggregated running total over time. So our 100 should be the same on the first day, and then it will be 100 plus the 120 from the second day is 220, plus 144, so you've got the 364. You see how that adds up over time, and that's still split by product. So again, it's a really simple calculation there, and you can right click on these and press edit if you need to edit, and look how that's such a simple short calculation, but it's created something really powerful in such a quick space of time. Just adding sort of how powerful these calculated fields can be, even at such a basic level. Now often these formulas can be rows and rows long. You can easily fill this box and have to expand it, but something even just as simple as that is really powerful addition to your report. So the last example I'm going to speak about today are just some of the more common ones that I tend to use. So you can create calculated fields, and these will just be sum, standard sum, min, which gives you the minimum of an expression. The same with max, with a maximum, average, AVG, median, different type of average, looking at the middle, and just going to show how these can be used and how actually you don't need to always create a calculated field to do this, as they're kind of inbuilt common functions. So for example, if we look at value, we could create a sum value, and that is just sum value. Okay, and then we could create maybe a min, or maybe, yeah, min value. And these are obviously really simple formulas. And what you can then do is say, okay, we've got our minimum value, maximum value, what else? The sum of total value. Turn those round, and then you could always put that by, say, date again. Maybe we just want to look by week. Just do week number, and you can see how the minimum value on week 2 compares to week 1. Same with the max, the total, and again you could split that down by product something. With something like the value though, and with these more basic formulas, you can actually see when you click on the pill, you can choose, because these are measures, you can choose how you want them to be calculated. So sum, average, median, so these are the sort of ones we are writing, minimum, maximum, percentiles. So we could do an average on this one. I might want to go here, and you can just keep putting these in. Median, very useful. And you could even also maybe split these out by different products, so you can see week 1's min, max, median. Probably put max over here. Or you could switch this round, so it's product then week split, so you can see almost like a mini trend of how things are changing over just those two short weeks. And you could, obviously, if you had more data in here, you could see that, or you could split it around the other way, whatever you wanted. But just to show you that you can create these calculated fields. There's hundreds of different functions available for you here in Tableau. They have good definitions and examples. The ones I've shown you today are super basic, super top level, but even those are something like this, and those running totals can be really powerful and so easy to implement. So yeah, I hope that gives you an extra insight. We've also looked at how you can change how things are being calculated, such as sum on average. You can see how the axis is changing there, and you can create that within the pill itself. So I hope you found that useful. I think I mentioned earlier, I think next week we're talking about creating parameters and using those with dimensions in tandem, and show you what we can do with those. So make sure you tune in for that. Thank you very much for your time. See you next week.